After I left home, the whole world became my map. My main mode of transportation was hitchhiking. I traveled up and down the California coast so many times I could picture every mile marker in my sleep. From the bright, dry, salty air of San Diego all the way to the hushed, fog-wrapped forest of Crescent City. I knew which on-ramps were friendly, which truck stops had kind waitresses, and which stretches of highway felt lonely enough to swallow a person whole. Most days I told myself I was free, but freedom looks different when you're 15 and carrying everything you own in a purse the size of a small suitcase. Some people drifted in and out of my life like passing cars. Others lingered longer than they should have. One of those people was a guy named Kent. At the time, he seemed useful. Older, confident, always with a car and a plan. He could give us rides, pick things up from the store, make the day feel a little less uncertain. Back then, I thought he was just part of the adventure. Looking back now, I understand something I didn't have the words for then. He wasn't helping us. He was helping himself. One day I was walking along San Gabriel Boulevard, heading south with no real destination. That was how most of my days began, just movement, waiting to see what the world would hand me. An old El Camino slowed beside me, the engine rumbling like it recognized me. "Need a lift?" Kent asked, leaning across the seat with that easy smile. And here's one of those hindsight moments that makes your stomach twist years later. He always seemed to appear at exactly the right time. Too right, almost like he knew where to look. I climbed in his dusty blue truck, happy for the ride. "Where are you headed?" he asked. "Nowhere in particular," I said, "just seeing what the day brings." He grinned like I'd handed him a winning lottery ticket. "Excellent," he said. "You're coming to my place." Before I could answer, we were already merging onto the 210 freeway, heading west, through Baldwin Park, El Monte, Rosemead, Monterey Park, towards Los Angeles. I wasn't worried, not really. I had a thumb, a voice, and a stubborn belief that I could always find my way back if I wanted to. The radio was blaring. AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, music that made the car feel like it was flying instead of driving. The California sun poured through the windows, turning the dashboard into a hot plate and the city skyline into a shimmering mirage. When we finally exited into Los Angeles proper, my confidence wobbled a bit. I'd been around the edges of the city before, the suburbs that pretended they weren't connected to it. Los Angeles is a city that hums instead of sleeps. A sprawl of concrete and palm trees where beauty and decay share the same sidewalk. By day it glitters, glass towers throwing back the sun, billboards smiling down with perfect teeth. But at street level, the shine wears thin. The air tastes faintly of exhaust and ocean salt, a mix as uneasy as the city itself. Freeways coil like gray rivers, carrying millions of people who will never learn each other's names. At night, the real Los Angeles shows its teeth. Neon flickers over liquor stores with barred windows, over taco stands sizzling on corners where the light doesn't quite reach. Sirens drift through neighborhoods like restless ghosts, and the sidewalks fill with stories no one bothers to write down. Runaways, dreamers, hustlers, men selling oranges from shopping carts, women waiting for buses that are always late. The Hollywood sign glows politely in the distance, pretending none of this is happening below. The city smells of hot asphalt, fried food, jasmine blooming in yards behind chain-link fences. There are mansions perched above canyons where coyotes wander like they own the place. And a few miles away are apartments with peeling paint where 3 families share one mailbox. Opportunity lives here, but so does disappointment, and they pass each other every day without speaking. Los Angeles doesn't promise anything it can keep. It invites you in with sunsets the color of crushed peaches and then hands you a bill you can't afford. But people keep coming anyway, chasing a rumor that floats through the smog, that somewhere between the beaches and the busted streetlights, between the movie studios and the midnight laundromats, a different life might be possible. The city, it felt really huge, and I felt very small. Kent parked in front of a tired apartment building that looked like it had once been proud and then given up. We headed for the elevators, passing people in the hallway who glanced at us with bored curiosity. His apartment was on the 5th floor. When he unlocked the door, after turning several heavy deadbolts, the smell hit me first. Smoke, stale air, something sweet and something sour all tangled together. There were already people inside. Music hummed from a speaker in the corner. Someone waved without really looking at us. I met Kent's girlfriend within minutes, which made things awkward in a way I didn't know how to name. I wondered if she knew about the girls I knew about, or about the wife he was supposedly separated from. But relationships were a mystery I was still trying to understand, and this one seemed, how should I say this, unusually complex? By late afternoon, the apartment had turned into a gathering place. By 10 that night, it was a full-blown party. Wall-to-wall people, laughter bouncing off the ceiling, neighbors drifting in like this was just another Saturday. I felt like a guest at a celebration I didn't have a ticket for. Kent took me into a back bedroom where it was less busy. When he opened the door, I stopped in the doorway. What I saw made me feel like I wanted to puke. I've been afraid of needles for as long as I can remember, one of those deep, child-level fears that never leaves your bones. Seeing them there, casual and ordinary, flipped a switch inside me. "No, thank you," I whispered. Kent nudged me inside anyway and closed the door. The people in that room were somewhere far away from the party. Conversation, it didn't live there. Time didn't either. I felt like I'd wandered into the wrong movie and forgotten my lines. All night, people came and went, loud when they entered, looking a bit like zombies when they exited. I stayed curled in a corner, watching shadows move across the walls, trying to make myself invisible. Sometime after midnight, exhaustion wrapped around me. I'd learned how to sleep anywhere. Cars, couches, under park benches. Survival teaches strange skills. I found a quiet spot, pulled a blanket over myself like armor, and let my eyes drift closed. That's when I heard the whispering. Words I didn't understand at first, then I did. My heart slammed awake before the rest of me could move. I lay perfectly still, listening. After a few tense minutes, Kent's voice cut through the room, sharp and angry. "Knock it off. She's just a kid." The whispers died. The door opened and closed. The world went back to pretending I wasn't there. Eventually, despite everything, sleep won. When I woke, the apartment was silent. Not peaceful silent, empty silent. I stumbled to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and tried to piece myself together. My reflection looked back at me, older than it had the day before. When I came into the living room, I stopped dead in my tracks. There were streaks along the walls, dark reddish-brown smeared marks that looked terrifying once my brain caught up with my eyes. The apartment felt like a set from a horror movie after the actors had gone home. "Hey, you're still here?" I jumped. Lloyd, a neighbor I'd met briefly the night before, stood in the kitchen doorway holding a coffee mug. "What happened?" I asked. "Where's Kent?" Lloyd told the story like it was neighborhood gossip. Kent's wife had shown up, discovered the party, discovered the girlfriend, and the situation had exploded into a fight that got wildly out of hand. Everyone involved, including Kent, was at the hospital getting stitched up. My spare pants, ones I always carried, had apparently become emergency bandages. That explained why they were missing. I stood there thinking, I am stuck in the middle of Los Angeles with no money and no ride. Oh, crap. Voices echoed angrily from other apartments. Doors slammed. The hallway sounded like it was a battle zone. "Do you have a phone?" I asked Lloyd. "Payphone downstairs," he replied. I asked if he'd walk with me. He agreed, and I was grateful for the simple kindness. Outside, the morning air was already warm. A few guys hanging around the building tossed out comments I pretended not to hear. I called the only person I could think of, my friend Carol. Miraculously, she answered. "Just stay there," she said after I explained. "I'm coming to get you." Those were the best words I'd heard in a long time. We waited back upstairs until Kent eventually returned, scratched but cheerful, acting like the night had been a minor inconvenience. He walked away with just a couple of stitches, but the ladies were being held for a few hours for psychological evaluation. "Stay," he kept saying. "We can still hang out today." I looked at the walls, and then at him. This place looks like a crime scene, and I don't want to be anywhere near this place when either your girlfriend or your wife shows up. Even Lloyd muttered, "She's got a point." 5 minutes after I stepped outside, Carol's car pulled up like a rescue ship. I climbed in and exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. "Kent's place?" she asked. I nodded. "More trouble than he's worth," I said. "Copy that." And just like that, Los Angeles shrank in the rearview mirror, and the suburbs opened their familiar, safer arms. Back then, I called it a lost day. Now I know it was more than that. A lesson I survived by inches. I learned that not every open door is an invitation, and not every ride is headed somewhere good. I was lucky. Luckier than a lot of kids wandering those same streets. Some days I think about the girl I was, brave in ways she shouldn't have needed to be, trusting in a world that hadn't earned it. And I wish I could reach back through time and sit beside her in that El Camino and say, "You don't have to get in." But she did, and she made it out, and somehow, so did I. If you're a young person dealing with unsafe situations, homelessness, or exploitation, help is available. The National Runaway Safe line at 1-800-786-2929 will give you 24/7 confidential support. The National Youth Crisis Hotline can be reached at 1-800-442-HOPE. 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, you can call or text 988. And the Covenant House 9 line is 1-800-999-9999. You don't have to figure things out alone.